Okay, so you should have filled in all the equations for bell work, and then we'll just run through these, plugging in the numbers. Something to make a note of is the instructions up here. Of course, make sure your name's on it. If you didn't put your name on it, put your name on it right here. And there are instructions right here. It says find the volume of each figure, write the answers in terms of pi for number 1 through 8, and using pi equals 3.14 for number 9 through 16. We saw both ways, especially on Khan Academy, where it asks for the answer in terms of pi. All that means is that we're literally solving everything and then just leaving it as like a number with pi, and that would mean 30 times pi, but we're just leaving it like that. So when we solve it for the first 8, we aren't multiplying by pi, we're just keeping pi as is. So for the first one, we have a cone, we have the equation written, and then we are plugging in values. Keeping pi as is, radius squared, it's showing us the radius is 2, so 2 squared, and then the height is 7. And from here, yes, you could plug stuff in the calculator. Oh, I'm writing 1/3 pi. 2 squared would be 4, and then 4 times 7 is 28. So I'm left with 1/3 pi times 28. Simplifying this, 28 times 1/3, I'm just going to leave it as a fraction. 28 over 3 pi. And that would be my volume here. Units cubed. Yes, you could divide 28 divided by 3 to get a decimal. Wouldn't be pretty. So just keep it like that. The next one, a cylinder. We already have the equation written out. Volume equals area of the base times height. The base is a circle, so that's why we plugged in pi r squared. So we are going to say volume equals pi. The radius here is a, which is 8 squared, and the height is 56. Pi times 64 times 56. Multiply those two numbers. That's a key. If I multiply those two numbers, I get volume equals 3,584 pi, and it'd be yards cubed. So after you get that far, if all the answer choices were in decimals, all you'd do is multiply this by pi, and you'd get the decimal answer. Next, it shows us a cylinder. For this example, it gives us the volume of a cylinder, and it asks us to find the height. So in this case, we use this equation, but we're using it in a little bit of a different way. Volume is 1210. Oh, there's also a typo here. This is supposed to have a pi symbol right here. So 1210 pi. Equals pi. The radius, it shows us the diameter is 22, so just the radius would be 11 squared, and height is what we're trying to find. Now from here, just bring it all down, 1210 pi equals pi. 11 squared would be 121. Next step, I'm going to try to get h by itself. I'm going to divide both sides by 121 pi. Now, 1,210 divided by 121 is 10, and the pi's cancel. You could do that in a calculator, or you might recognize that it's just going to be 10. And then we get h equals 10. Feet, technically. And now we have a sphere. Sphere is 4/3 pi r cubed, so volume equals 4/3 pi. Radius is 3 cubed. 3 times 3 times 3 is 27. Now what? Okay, so at this point, I'm going to start plugging in a calculator. One of the questions I will get the most tomorrow is, how the heck do I plug that in a calculator? And I'm showing you right now. It's 4 divided by 3, so you get 1.333 repeating, and then multiply by 27, you get 36. So my answer here, volume equals 36 pi, and it's feet cubed. Are you guys following good? Good? Okay. And next. Now we're moving over here. A cone with a radius of 4 meters and a height of 12 meters. So we identified it as a cone. We wrote the equation for volume of a cone. We filled in area of the base with pi r squared. Now we can just plug in numbers. 1/3, keep pi as is. Radius is 4, so that's going to be squared, and the height's 12. Okay, in the calculator, 16 times 12 is 1/3 pi times 192. You could either do 1 divided by 3 times 192, or just know that multiplying by a third is the same as dividing by 3. So I can divide this by 3 to get 64. So my answer here is 64 pi meters cubed. The next one is an equation where we're working backwards. It says the cylinder has a radius of 4 and a volume of 80. It wants us to find the height, the h. So our volume is, this is supposed to be 80 pi, by the way, another typo, 80 pi. So volume's 80 pi equals pi, radius of 4, and we're finding the height. Pi equals pi times 16 times h. To get h by itself, we divide by 16 pi. Divide by 16 pi. The pi's cancel. 80 divided by 16 is 5, so the height is 5 yards. Okay, next one, it's a sphere, so we wrote down the equation for volume of sphere. A sphere with a diameter of 2 feet. For the equation, we need radius. So if the diameter is 2, what would be the radius? 1, perfect. So volume equals 4/3 pi times 1 cubed. 1 times 1 times 1 is still going to be 1. So our answer here, volume equals 4/3 pi, and that's our volume. Feet cubed. Done. Number 8. This is a composite figure. It has 2 shapes here. So in order to find the volume of this, we have to find the volume of the cone, the volume of the cylinder, and then add those 2 volumes together. So we have 2 equations written here. One for the cone. So we'll use this to solve for the volume of the cone. So the radius is 12 squared, times the height, which is 5. 144 times 5. 720, so 1/3 pi times 720. Divide 720 by 3, get 240. So the volume of the cone is 240 pi. That's only part of it though. I circled it, I didn't box it because it's not a final answer, but I'm going to need that. So now for the cylinder, plugging in, radius is 12 again, and the height is 11. Okay, now I have this volume and this volume. To find the total volume, I need to add those two together. So 240 pi plus 1584 pi comes out to 1824 pi. And this is my actual answer, 1824 pi. Just waiting for everybody to get caught up. Okay, the bottom part, it wants us to solve using 3.14 for pi. So for all of these, we're going to use 3.14 instead of keeping it in terms of pi like we did in the top ones. So when we plug in the numbers here, we're also going to plug in 3.14 for pi, but it's going to be the same process. And if you're feeling confident at this point and you can work way faster than I'm working, you're welcome to try working ahead just to make sure to check back and make sure you're doing it right. If you still need support and you'd still like to do it step by step with me, just do it with me then. Radius is 5 squared, and then the height is 4. So from here, we need to follow order of operations. So square the 5 to get 25. Bring everything down. Then in a calculator, you could multiply these three numbers. Or you might recognize that 25 times 4 is 100. And 3.14 times 100, you could just move the decimal over 2 spots to get volume equals 314 inches cubed. For the next one, you have half a sphere and a cylinder. So for half a sphere, we're going to find the volume for the entire sphere and then just divide that by 2 to get just this top part. So I wrote up here 4/3 pi r cubed, and then we're going to divide by 2 at the end. So plugging in the numbers for the sphere, it looks like it gives us diameter of 10, so that means that the radius would be 5 of both the cylinder and the sphere. And then plugging in numbers 4/3, 3.14 for pi, and 5 cubed. 4/3, 3.14. 5 cubed would be 125. Once you get here, you can plug numbers in the calculator. So 4 divided by 3 times 3.14 times 125. I get this number, 523 and 1/3. And then I need to divide that by 2 to get half of a sphere. So divide by 2. And I get 261.6 repeating. Just round to 0.67, but that would be 2/3 if it was in fraction format. So that's half of my sphere. And then for the cylinder, ooh, it's blurry. For the cylinder, volume equals 3.14, 5 squared, and the height is 6. $471. And then last step is to add these two numbers together. So 261.666 repeating plus 471. And I get 732 and 2/3. Okay. Moving along. Okay, am I going too fast? Are you guys good? Okay, so those writing are just working ahead, right? Okay. Then next one is a cone. We already have the equation written out, so it's just a matter of plugging in the numbers. Radius is 1, so 1 squared, and then height is 4. 1 squared is just 1, so 1/3 times 3.14 times 4. Plug it into a calculator. 1 divided by 3 times 3.14 times 4 equals 4.19. For a sphere, volume equals 4/3, 3.14. Radius is 8, it'll be cubed. 8 times 8 times 8 equals 512. And then in the calculator, 4 divided by 3 times 3.14 times 512 gives me this number. Okay, number 13 is a sphere. Radius is 7, so radius cubed. 7 times 7 times 7 is 343. In the calculator, you do 4 divided by 3 times 3.14 times 343, and we get 1,436. Is that what you guys got? Because mine came out a little bit different. 4 divided by 3. Okay. Then for a cylinder, it gives us diameter here, so the radius would be 10.5. So in the equation, 3.14, radius 10.5 squared, and then height would be 1. Remember, if you're working ahead, just look up here, make sure you're getting the right answers. .1 cubed would be 2.1 times 2.1 times 2.1, 9.261. And last but not least, the cone. That's it. So, wow, we still have a lot of time left in class. Here, let me pause this.